At 100 local time, Ukraine and Russia traded some of the heaviest blows of the entire war within 48 hours of each other. A Russian drone attack and missile barrage on Kyiv, followed by a massive Ukrainian drone attack on Moscow. This is the Ukraine-Russia war, at its most intense point in months. And Putin's government now finds itself absorbing exactly the kind of retaliation it spent years assuming Russia was too big, too far, and too well defended to ever really feel. On the night of July 19th, Russia launched what Ukraine's acting foreign minister called the largest ballistic missile barrage aimed at Kyiv since the war began, more than 4 years earlier. 41 missiles of various types, including Iskander-M ballistic missiles and Zircon hypersonic missiles, struck the capital in under an hour, alongside 120 attack drones launched across the rest of the country. At least one person was killed, and 16 wounded, though officials noted 3 people remained in serious condition. Nearly 600 emergency workers responded across multiple impact sites. Ukraine's military said it intercepted only about half of the ballistic missiles. A reminder that even a functioning air defense network can't stop everything when the volume gets this high. Here's what almost no outlet gave proper weight to. Among the buildings damaged that night was the Dormition Cathedral inside the Kyiv Pechersk Lavra, a Christian Orthodox monastery complex founded in 1051, nearly 1,000 years ago, and one of the holiest sites in all of Eastern Orthodox Christianity. Russia has repeatedly justified aspects of this war using the language of defending Orthodox Christian heritage. And yet, its own missiles just damaged a cathedral that predates the founding of Moscow itself by roughly a century. That's not a detail state media in Russia was eager to highlight. Ukraine's response came fast. Overnight, into July 20th, Ukraine launched hundreds of drones at Moscow and the surrounding region. Moscow's own mayor, Sergei Sobyanin, confirmed more than 400 drones were launched at the region between 8:30 p.m. and 5 a.m., with Russian air defenses claiming to have destroyed 85 of them while approaching the capital directly. President Zelensky confirmed Ukrainian strikes hit Russian logistics facilities and an oil depot in the Moscow region, more than 400 kilometers from the Ukrainian border, and framed the operation explicitly as retaliation, writing, "We are responding, justly, to every Russian strike against our cities and communities." That's a rare moment where a wartime leader states the cause and effect logic of a strike out loud, rather than leaving it implied. While the missile and drone exchange over Kyiv and Moscow grabbed the headlines, a second, quieter campaign was unfolding at the exact same time. The same night as the Kyiv barrage, Ukraine confirmed strikes on 3 separate oil depots in Russia's Stavropol Krai, setting them ablaze and disrupting fuel supply chains far from the front line. Around the same period, Ukrainian drone strikes reportedly slashed the crossing capacity of the Kerch ferry, the vessel route connecting Russia to occupied Crimea, by roughly 75% as part of daily ongoing strikes on Russian vessels and occupation energy infrastructure. This is the detail that ties everything together. Even during the loudest, most visible exchange of the month, Ukraine's slower, grinding campaign against Russian logistics never actually paused, and the violence wasn't confined to missiles and drones over cities. Russia struck a Guinea-Bissau-flagged civilian cargo ship carrying corn near the port of Odesa. Odesa's regional governor said Russian strikes have now killed 28 people in the region during July alone, describing constant, near-daily shelling since the start of the month. This detail rarely makes it past a single headline, but it matters. A commercial grain ship, flagged to a small West African nation, crewed by sailors from 2 entirely different countries, became a casualty of a war neither of their home nations are fighting. This exchange didn't happen in a vacuum. It was the culmination of an already brutal week. Just 1 day earlier, on July 18th, Ukrainian drones struck 2 Wildberries logistics warehouses, Russia's largest online retailer, in Kotovsk and Elektrostal, killing 8 to 9 people and wounding more than 60. One regional Al Jazeera correspondent in Moscow called it the highest Ukrainian attack casualty toll on Russian soil in 3 years. Zelensky said the warehouses weren't really civilian targets at all. He described them as logistics facilities, supplying sanctioned components for drone and navigation equipment production, meaning Ukraine considered them legitimate military-industrial targets, hiding behind a retail brand. Here's the piece that puts all of this in perspective. According to Ukrainian reporting, in the 24 hours around this exchange, Ukraine shot down 587 of 673 total Russian missiles and drones fired at it, one of the largest single-day totals of incoming weapons of the entire war. And this all happened while Zelensky was simultaneously announcing draft security guarantees, following meetings with American and European partners. In other words, some of the heaviest fighting of the past year is unfolding at the exact same moment diplomatic groundwork is being laid for what a security arrangement might eventually look like. Violence and negotiation, running on parallel tracks, neither one waiting for the other. It's worth sitting with that contrast for a second. Soldiers and civilians on both sides absorbing record-setting barrages in the same week that diplomats are drafting the paperwork meant to eventually stop exactly this kind of night from happening again. It raises an uncomfortable question that doesn't have a clean answer yet. Whether momentum like this pushes both sides toward the negotiating table faster or simply raises the cost of whatever comes next. And here's a detail almost nobody outside Africa has heard about, published the same week as this exchange. On July 18th, Botswana's government issued a public warning to its own citizens. Not about drones or missiles, but about Russia. Botswana's Ministry of International Relations said a rising number of Botswana citizens were being lured abroad with fake civilian job offers, only to discover on arrival that they were being forced into active combat against Ukraine. The ministry said it continues to receive distress calls from citizens already trapped at the front line, describing dangerous conditions they never agreed to. Botswana isn't alone. Kenya has confirmed roughly 1,000 of its own nationals were swept into Russia's military this way. And a non-profit tracking African recruitment losses reported at least 316 African deaths tied to this pipeline as of earlier this year. Rather than order a politically risky domestic mobilization, Russia has reportedly set internal targets, aiming for foreign recruits to make up between 0.5 and 3.5% of personnel along different sections of the front. That means this war, which most people picture as strictly a Russia versus Ukraine story, is quietly pulling in unsuspecting civilians from countries thousands of kilometers away, who never signed up to fight in it at all. So why does this 48-hour window matter more than just another set of casualty numbers? Because it captures the entire shape of this war in miniature. A record missile barrage on a 1,000-year-old cathedral. An immediate drone retaliation deep into Moscow's own region. A quieter logistics war grinding on underneath both. This is the Ukraine-Russia war, as it actually looks right now. Not as a single headline, but as an entire week compressed into 2 nights, with both sides absorbing losses even as the search for an eventual end to it continues in parallel. Like this video and subscribe to the channel for more breakdowns like this one.